Hello, it's Jay here with No on this video number 29 for July the 30th, 2022. Very rapidly coming to the end of the month. So this is my weekly check-in with, hey, how am I doing with my ongoing project of improving my vocal performance uh, on camera for the most part, but also I guess in real life. All this stuff sort of is an interaction between real life and on camera, I suppose. So yeah, it's there fidgeting. All right, so what happened this week? This week was chapter 3 of Patsy Rodenberg's The Need for Words, a somewhat frustrating filler-filled book by a famous vocal coach who's worked with big actors and really wants to tell you about the whole schmozzle when, as a student, I'm kind of waiting for the class to begin, and this is all seems like extremely long preamble. Indeed, part one of this book, which luckily seems it has only been, it's like maybe the first, is it like the first 30% of it is the first part of this book is all just seems like a preamble to what hopefully the second part, which will be a little bit more practical stuff. Though Patsy has a little bit of the cult leader feel about her, of she's setting up all these problems and setting up herself as the only as the this and this be giving yourself over to speech, to my guidance in speech, is going to be the only way you're going to free yourself and you are going to be able to talk. And she really wants you to believe this. And I guess that might work well for a teacher. You really want to get your students into things, but maybe as an older student, I'm just thinking, you're trying to sell me a bill of goods here. Let's get to the practical stuff. So yeah, this week was cultural and physical boundaries, where she did actually have a little bits that are, she has throughout has bits that I think, oh, this is interesting. Her talking about received pronunciation, very much proper. I think it would be considered like, BBC English, but also, just how newscasters or people in the public sphere will strip away their accent and have a very clear speech. Um, she had a lot of thoughtful things to say about that, how that is often the voice of power, and there's a lot of people who are outside of that power who are made to feel crappy because they have a non received pronunciation accent. And this is class, this is ethnicity, there's a lot of stuff here which is like, you can she says, she acknowledges, like, taken the wrong way, teachers can use this stuff to make people feel shitty and to erase their identity, but she's very much of the opinion that's not how this should be used. It's like received, a RP accent is a part of a toolbox for if you're an actor, or even perhaps if you're a speaker. There's something to be said of just the mechanics of making sure that your speech is very clear, a clarity, and having clarity in your speech is something that's important. Maybe as a communicator, as a speaker, when you're talking to a large group of people, you don't want to be slurring your words, cutting things off, clipping them, which, but and you can see how as an actor you might make decisions on exactly how far you push a particular accent, because you want to get the words across to an audience, but you also want to preserve the place of the character that you're doing. So that was actually at the very end of this long section, which had stuff on political correctness, had stuff on feminism, had stuff on what's wrong with media today, had stuff on, I mean, it's all this sort of stuff. It's like, okay, I get it. Can we get to the actual practical stuff of, yes, I would like to speak clearer, with more clarity. I would like to have a control over that. I would like to develop that kind of a voice. And it's wading through that. So I can see that, like, I mean, I guess you get this with a lot of all books. It's like they're going to deliver a whole ton of stuff, and it is up to me as a critical reader to choose what I'm going to use out of that, and maybe try some stuff on and feel like, oh, does this fit me? Does this work for me? I mean, one of the things that her big push in this is that the only way you can actually know something is if you speak it, embody the words and speak it, which does actually make sense for me, in the sense of that's why I'm attracted to being online on YouTube, and making videos and talking about stuff, is because that's how I process things, is I talk them out. And by talking them out, I think I get a better understanding. I work things out. I don't do well going away and thinking about stuff. So that works for me. But for her to make a blanket statement that the only way you get knowledge is by talking, by speaking words, is by speaking it out, that's a very blanket statement made by a vocal coach. Whereas if you're an English professor or philosophy, somewhere else along the spectrum, you might think, no, going away and thinking about things and brooding upon things, or maybe writing things out. That's the other way I process things, is by writing them out. Those are also equally valid and powerful ways. And to make a blanket statement that the only way you do this, that's what rankles me about, that may be the core thing that rankles me a bit about Patsy Rodenburg. And I have to kind of roll my eyes a bit as I continue on with the book. But it's a part of the project. It's not all going to be easy, fun, and games. So I'm continuing on with that. I'm also continuing on this week with my vocal exercises. I'm finding that I am healing up from my surgery, and that doesn't seem to have affected me. My energy levels are a lot lower. So I have to make sure that I kind of get it done at a certain point, and I can feel a little bit more tired at the end of the session, but I don't feel like I'm messing around with my surgery. I had a umbilical hernia, and the surgeon's gone in and put things back in place and stitched me up, and I'm on rest right now. But standing at my desk and talking and doing vocal exercises doesn't seem to be straining me too much, and maybe it's enough of a light exercise. A part of what the light exercise that they recommend you do is you go for short walks. So this isn't too far past that, though, there is probably some work of the abdomens, but I'm not like, I'm not doing sit-ups, or I'm not crunching. I'm like, there's none of that. I'm not doing housework, for that matter. Well, I'm not doing housework that I can't use with a picker-upper, to basically avoid all that stuff. So yeah, that is continuing. As I was making my notes for this video, I went, oh, I made a review video yesterday on Hostage by Guy Delis. And I made that video, and one of my things that I knew I'm going to have to do before I see if I want to publish it on my public channel is, I need to watch the video. And I thought, that is a good thing to do before I do this no ums video. So I sat and watched myself do the review of the book, and I still have a hard time just watching myself at regular speed. I did do it on sped up speed, which in some ways is useful to tag the ums. There's still ums in my videos. I'm not too worried about that. I think if it was every other word was an and it was annoying that way, I might that would be notable. There's a few ums in there. I'm not getting a complex about. I refuse to get a complex about that and worry about that. But it seemed, I think my presentation was fairly good. I mean, there's always room for improvement. I did make notes for the review. There wasn't gigantically a structure, but I think I talked about the book. I call it a review, but it was a chat about the book, and I think it was a fairly okay chat about the book. I'm always going to be like, oh, how can I be better? But I think it worked. I think it went fairly well. I'm going to publish it as is, which is good because I hate editing stuff like that. It's funny. I was watching a fellow booktuber, his weekly reads video, and I really noticed, probably maybe because I put it up on a big screen, that how many edits he has, how choppy the video is. And it wasn't, I mean, I really like him, and he's miles ahead of me in how well he is able to present himself online. But I have to say, like, watching that, it's like, oh yeah, editing my video, like where there's kind of like little jump, little jump, little jump here, little jump there. I don't like that in videos. It was distracting. It's kind of hacked. It feels hacked. It feels not organic. So I will I will make an effort to make videos to try and be concise. Trying to be concise, I think, within just a one take video still a worthy goal, and I think something that I will work at. Sometimes I'm not going to be concise. Sometimes I'm going to be working things out. I think that maybe comes down more to trying to trying to be more forward in my preparation for a video. I've got a video coming up for another book that I read that I was not entirely satisfied with the book. I have my complaints, and I'm going to try and prepare that video that much a little bit harder, because I want to do a one take of the review. I don't want to edit it, and a part of it is laziness. Part of it is definitely laziness, but another part of it is I enjoy having just a flow, that there isn't any cuts. I mean, I'm not against, the odd cut in a video, but I would say in this fellow booktuber's video of Friday Reads, there was at least 20, 30 cuts in that video where he's probably editing out ums or ahs or a pause, or maybe looking down to check his notes, that I found distracting. I didn't like, which is, it's not like I didn't like, I enjoyed watching his video, but I didn't like that aspect of his video, and I would avoid that myself. And that was a good crystallizing point of, while I have my dissatisfactions with my one take videos, I think I'm on the right track there. But I think my solution is to try and prep more, and to just get it all and get it all down live. That's the way to go, not to edit it, because my editing, he's been doing this for a while, so his editing skills are that much better already, and I don't like it. My editing skills are shit, from lack of use, lack of practice, and probably lack of talent. That I don't want to. That would not make me happy for what I was producing. All right. So yes, I've got my hopes for Chapter 4 of Patsy Rudenberg. I think that's the big thing going forward. This is finding a voice, though. There are exercises. I know I've already come upon an exercise very quickly in this chapter, which is great, though that it's very frustrating that she's got this pattern of, oh, but I do this in much more detail in The Need for Words, it's this other book. So it's one of this, like, I'm going to tease you in this book. You've spent all this money on this book, but I'm going to tease you in another book for where I really get down to things. It's like, oh my God. Oh my God. Because I did look through a bunch of her books trying to figure out which one is probably going to be better aimed at myself as a non-actor, because a lot of her books are definitely focused on actors. So I wanted practical, but not necessarily all actors on the stage, because I'm not going to be on the stage anytime ever. So there's that. Though it's like one of these things, when I was looking at reviews of The Need for Words, one of the admittedly hostile reviews to that book was complaining that she just pontificated the entire book and there was only one chapter of actual practical stuff. So hopefully there's more than one chapter of practical stuff in this book. Hopefully it's not one of these cases, because that's one of the things that you find of a criticism of a lot of nonfiction books, self-help books. This isn't really self-help, but of nonfiction books, is that it's all padding, and there's enough for like a TED talk or a pamphlet in a chunky nonfiction book. So far, we're kind of on the pamphlet side of, I would have, except for the part on, except for certain little nuggets here and there, there's not a ton that I've picked up that I'm going to carry away from this book that isn't, because like all the stuff that is Patsy Rudenberg's opinion of what's wrong with society today, I could take or leave, and all her opinions of how it was just so awesome back in the old days, I will also probably dispense, though I do wonder if if Shakespearean actors were all in touch, grounded with the word in such a fundamental way that now actors today need to, or if, they weren't just as many hacks as well as geniuses back then. I don't know. I don't know. So here's hoping, but it's a project. It's the project, and this may not be the most successful part of it. I'm hoping it's one of these things. It's like you get a cookbook, and there's 100 recipes in a cookbook, and really, if you can find 5 recipes in that cookbook that you use consistently, that is an amazing cookbook. And that's perhaps the case for Patsy Ruddenberg. If there are 5 exercises that I can find in this book that I can carry forward and help me improve how I present myself on camera, how I talk, my connection to words, that would be a great thing. That would be a success. So here's hoping. All right. That's all I have for right now. No ums 29 out. I'll let you know how it went to No Ums 30 next week. I've been Jay. More videos later.